For 7 years, I covered my parents' expenses, and then my brother remarked, "You don't even have a family of your own." So I stopped the payments and booked a flight to Spain. I left the office early, skipped the company's annual bonus dinner, and caught a $540 flight on Christmas Eve. My seat at the family table had a sticky note for my brother's fiancée. "She's new to the family," my mom said casually. "We thought you wouldn't mind standing," I replied. "No problem." I grabbed my suitcase and left. 31 minutes later, my sister texted, so dramatic. It wasn't a big deal, she claimed. I opened my banking app and froze the family support payments. But what my father said at 9:04 p.m. shifted everything. I flew across the country for this. A one-way ticket cost $540. I left work at noon, ditched the corporate dinner, stuffed my belongings into a bag and raced to the airport. Because family meant something to me. Because showing up in person still felt significant. I hadn't seen them face to face since last Christmas. We'd done the video calls, the birthday messages, the miss you emojis. But this year, I was coming home. I pictured the smell of roasted turkey, my mom's slightly charred cookies, and my dad holding back tears during the midnight prayer. I imagined my place at the table. Turns out it was already taken. Literally. I walked into the dining room, snow still clinging to my coat, carrying a damp gift bag with Dad's favorite bourbon. That's when I saw the note, a small yellow square on the back of a chair, reserved for Troy's fiancée. No prank. No playful jest. Just those 5 words in my mom's handwriting. I stood there, staring, hoping it might vanish if I looked long enough. "Oh," Mom said, emerging from the kitchen with her usual grin, as if I hadn't crossed 3 time zones for this meal. "She's new," she explained with a shrug. "We figured you'd be okay standing." Standing like a stranger, or worse, like I didn't belong, I said, "Sure," calmly, mechanically. Then I turned, grabbed my bag, and walked out. I made it 31 minutes down the icy road before my phone buzzed. "So dramatic," my sister texted. "It's not a big deal." I stared at the screen, pulse racing, my thumb hovering over the reply button. Instead, I opened my banking app and paused the family support payments. Done. But what my father said at 9:04 p.m. changed everything. It wasn't just the note. Not really. That was just the spark. The fuel had been building for years. I didn't head back to the motel. I pulled into a gas station, watched snow pile up on my windshield, and cranked the heater until my face felt warm. Then I started reflecting. The truth is, I'd always been the one who made things easy for them. When I landed my first tech job, Dad said, "Now you can finally support your family." He wasn't joking. That meant start paying the bills, so I did. I covered their phone plan, car insurance, even their heating costs in winter. Silently, automatically, because that's what good sons do, right? Troy was the free spirit. He dropped out of college, spent years drifting, finding himself. When he came back broke from a failed startup, I let him crash at my place for 9 months, rent-free. I even paid for the counseling he said would get him back on track. When Mom needed oral surgery last year, who covered the $3,400 bill insurance wouldn't touch? Me. When Dad's old truck died and he needed a reliable car for church, who co-signed the loan? Me. I never complained, never brought it up. Even when I canceled trips to cover their costs. Even when I ate ramen for lunch while sending money for their streaming subscriptions. So when my sister texted, so dramatic, I wanted to chuck my phone into the snow. I didn't. Instead, I scrolled through our family group chat. I noticed a pattern. Every time I shared a milestone, a promotion, a work trip, a raise, I got 1 or 2 lukewarm replies. But when Troy's new girlfriend posted about baking muffins, 25 comments, 4 heart emojis, and Mom's message, "She's such a blessing." It didn't end there. Last June, I flew in to surprise Mom for her birthday. I arrived late, slept on the couch because Troy had temporarily taken my old room and woke up to find them gone. They'd taken Troy's fiancée to a brewery tour. A note on the counter read, "Back by 6, make yourself at home." They didn't even save me a slice of cake, yet I still paid their next month's electric bill. Because that's what I was taught to do. Provide, be the reliable one, the invisible one. Troy could show up with debt, a bad credit score, and a girlfriend he'd known for 3 months, and they'd bend over backward to make her feel welcome, including giving her my seat. That sticky note wasn't just about a chair. It was a signal, you're not essential anymore, so I made some calls. I stopped the automatic transfers. I told my accountant I was done contributing to the family fund Dad preferred to keep off the IRS radar. Then, for the first time in years, I did something purely for myself. I ordered sushi, extra spicy, and sat in that motel room alone with my tablet streaming a movie, feeling nothing but clarity. Until 9:04 p.m., that's when Dad called. I stared at the screen, debating whether to answer. My finger lingered, then tapped. "Hey," I said, voice flat, a pause heavy with meaning. "You left," he said. "I did. Your mom's upset. She's the one who gave my seat away." Another pause, longer this time. "She didn't mean anything by it." "Sure, let's go with that. What about Troy texting me 2 hours ago, asking if I'd chip in for their wedding next summer?" Silence. "Right," I said. "You didn't know about that?" Dad sighed, deep and familiar. "You know how it is, Troy's not as lucky as you." "Lucky?" I laughed. "No, Dad, Troy's reckless, I'm responsible, there's a difference." "He's improving. She's good for him. She's sitting in my seat. Don't be so theatrical." There it was, the line they always used when I dared to speak up. I closed my eyes, pinching the bridge of my nose. "You know what, Dad? I'm done being the guy who works 60-hour weeks so everyone else can play house. I'm done being your fallback. We never asked you to do it." "That's nonsense," I shot back. "You expected it. You think because I never complained, I was fine with it. Well, here's the truth. I'm not. I haven't been for a long time." Silence. Then softly, "Son, it's Christmas Eve. And I'm spending it alone in a motel by a gas station because you needed Troy's fiancée to feel welcome more than you needed your son at the table." He didn't respond, so I hung up. That was the last I heard from him for 4 days. I hadn't planned to go back. Not after what they did. Not after what they didn't do, but Troy called 3 days after Christmas. His number flashed on my screen and my instinct was to ignore it. Curiosity got the better of me. I answered. "What?" A pause, then, "Hey, weird question. Did you stop the family support payments?" I leaned back in my chair. "Yeah, you didn't tell anyone. Didn't need to." "Okay," he said, hesitant. "Well, things are tight. The January mortgage didn't go through." "I know." Silence. Then in the softest, most manipulative tone I'd ever heard from him, "Maybe we could talk." I laughed, sharp. "Oh, now you want to talk? What changed? Run out of sticky notes?" "It was just a seat, man." "No, it was a message. You and Mom made that clear." I hung up. 5 minutes later, Mom texted, "Can we meet for coffee? It's not what you think." I didn't reply because I knew what was coming. Dad called that night. I let it ring. He left a voicemail. "We need to talk in person. Sunday dinner." I stared at the phone, heart pounding. Sunday dinner, our old tradition. Roast chicken, pecan pie, everyone acting like they weren't quietly draining me. Something inside me said, go. Not to make peace, but to end it. I showed up Sunday evening, knocked once and let myself in as always. The house was spotless, suspiciously so, like they were staging a truce. Mom came out first, wearing an apron. "You came," she said, smiling like we hadn't erased each other on Christmas. Dad was in his recliner, holding a newspaper like he was busy. Troy and his fiancée were on the couch. She wouldn't meet my eyes, probably embarrassed. "Dinner's almost ready," Mom said. "No need," I replied. "I'm not here to eat." Everyone froze. "I'm here for one reason, to say things I should have said years ago." "Sweetheart," Mom started. "No," I cut her off. "You don't get to call me that, not after what you did. It was just a note." "You think this is about the chair?" I laughed. "That was just the final straw. This is about 20 years of you all treating me like the dependable one. Never a person, just a resource." Troy snorted. "Dude, you're being dramatic again." "Don't," I snapped. I turned to Dad. "You let it happen. You watched me work overtime, pay your bills, skip my vacations, while you threw parties for this guy when he managed to show up sober. You let him take my seat and ask for money in the same breath. And the worst part, you all thought I'd just keep doing it." Dad stood slowly. "We never asked you to." "Exactly, you expected it." "Because I never said no." Troy leaned forward. "You've always had the money, you don't even have kids, it wasn't a big deal." I turned to him, anger flaring. "You know what's a big deal? Working 60-hour weeks so Mom can have Wi-Fi and you can plan a fancy vineyard wedding for your dating app match. I was good enough to pay for your therapy, but not good enough to sit at the table." "Got it." Mom looked like she might cry. "We didn't mean to hurt you." "You didn't mean anything, that's the problem. You never thought about me, only what I could provide." The room went quiet. I pulled an envelope from my coat and tossed it on the table. "What's this?" Dad asked. "Your taxes, I'm not handling them this year, you'll need a new accountant." "Wait, what?" Mom said, stunned. "I transferred the car loan back to your name, canceled the insurance, and you've got 60 days before the health plan I cover runs out." "Oh, and Troy." He looked up, confused. "That wedding fund you asked about, use it for chairs." "I'm not coming." "You're not serious," Mom gasped. "I'm as serious as it gets. You made room for someone else. I'm making space for myself now." I walked out. They didn't follow. They didn't stop me. This time they knew. When I left that house, I expected silence. What I didn't expect was how calming the silence would feel. Like a shield, no buzzing phone, no guilt-laced requests. No more "can you help out just this once?" That always turned into a dozen, just quiet. On Monday, I walked into the office with a grin that startled the receptionist. "Win the lottery?" she asked. I chuckled. "Something like that." I didn't elaborate. But that was the first day in years I drank my coffee warm. Ate lunch without checking my bank account after sending someone's rent. Slept through the night without a text from Troy saying, "Hey, can you spot me till Friday?" By Wednesday, the text started. "Mom, honey, your father's upset. He says we should talk. Please come this weekend." Ignored. Then Troy, "Hey, Dad says you canceled their dental plan. That's not cool." Another, "You still got that Netflix login." "We can't get in." I blocked him. Then Dad called. I didn't answer. He left a voicemail, starting calm, ending with a jab. "I don't understand how you can abandon your family like this after all we've done for you." I laughed so hard I nearly dropped my phone. All they've done for me? Like giving my seat to a stranger. Like taking every bailout I offered while treating me like a whiny kid whenever I set a boundary. No, not this time. They expected me to crumble, feel guilty, and come crawling back like always. Instead, I made things worse for them. I thrived. I signed up for a 2-week hiking retreat in Colorado. Something I'd always wanted but couldn't afford because I was paying other people's bills. I rejoined my boxing gym, took long hikes, deleted the family group chat. I blocked my sister after she tried adding me back. I went for beers with coworkers and for the first time didn't lie about why I was always drained. I told the truth. My family's a financial vortex and I finally cut the cord. One guy raised his glass. Respect. That word hit differently now. Respect wasn't about staying quiet. It was about saying enough. Then came the call, 9:04 p.m. 2 weeks after the Christmas Eve mess. I almost didn't answer. The number was blocked, but something made me swipe. "Hello," the voice was soft. "Hey, it's Dad." He sounded older, exhausted. "Okay, I'm at the hospital." I sat up. "What happened?" "Your mom fainted in the kitchen, dehydration, stress. Docs say it's not serious, but she's shaken. She's been crying, asking for you." I said nothing. "You've made your point," he added. "Loud and clear, but maybe you can stop punishing us now." My blood boiled. "Punishing you? You think I'm punishing you because I stopped being your bank? Mom let me walk out of Christmas dinner like I was invisible. Don't pull her tears on me now." Silence. Then she told me about the chair. It was her idea. She thought Troy's fiancé would feel out of place otherwise. "And it never crossed your mind that I might feel out of place? We didn't mean it like that." "That's the problem. You never mean it like that. But it's always the same. I give." You take another pause, then quietly, "I miss you, son." Something tightened in my chest, not pain, not regret, just clarity. "I miss who you used to be too," I said. "Before you traded me for convenience." I hung up. Days passed. Then a message came, not from Troy, from her, his fiancée. "Hey, you probably don't want to hear from me, but I just wanted to say I didn't know." A pause, another text. "Your mom told me you'd be late. Said you wouldn't stay long. I only found out what happened after you left. If I'd known, I wouldn't have taken your seat. And here's the thing, they said you don't care about family stuff anyway. I'm so sorry." For a moment, I didn't know what to feel. But then it hit me like a freight train. Troy knew I was coming. He told her to take my seat. He knew what it would do, and he wanted it. Troy always resented what I stood for: responsibility, stability, consequences. He was the chaos they adored. I was the foundation they leaned on, and resented. Not anymore. The next week, my parents sent an email. Subject: family plan moving forward. Attached was a PDF with budgets, timelines, and a self-sufficiency strategy. It read like a corporate proposal, a desperate one. They were trying to prove they could survive without me, begging for a second chance, asking for 3 months of transition support before a full financial cutoff. I stared at the numbers, then hit delete. By March, the calls stopped. By April, I'd closed all shared accounts. By May, I'd booked a solo trip to Barcelona. And somewhere between the flight and my first bite of paella, I realized something I'd never believed before. I didn't need them. Not the way they'd convinced me I did. Not to define me, not to validate me, and definitely not to own me. Barcelona was alive, not just the streets, the crowds, or the music. It was how the world felt louder when you stepped out of someone else's shadow. I wandered the Gothic quarter with my phone on airplane mode. No family group chats, no texts from Troy, no just one more thing, bro. Just my footsteps on ancient stones and the thrill of silence I'd earned. Every evening, I watched the sunset from a different corner of the city. On the 5th night, A stranger at a rooftop bar asked to join me. She had bright eyes and a laugh that didn't apologize for itself. We talked for hours about nothing and everything. She asked where I was from. I paused. Used to be a family guy, now I'm just me, she grinned. Sounds like liberation, I nodded. Exactly. Back home, life moved on. I was promoted to senior systems engineer. The role came with boardroom meetings and a say in company strategy. My boss said, "You've been flying under the radar too long. People are noticing you now." That landed differently. For years, I was the guy quietly holding things together, at work, at home, everywhere. Now people saw more than my utility. They respected me. For the first time, I didn't feel like a tool. In June, something unexpected arrived. A wedding invitation. Troy and his fiancée, Rustic Vineyard, July 16th, RSVP by June 30th. I set it on the counter. Let it sit like a test I already knew the answer to. The envelope was ivory, heavy, pricey. Inside, next to the RSVP card, was a handwritten note from her. "I hope you'll come. He doesn't see what he did, and I think he's scared to admit it. You were right to walk away. But maybe he needs to see you stand your ground, in person." I stared at the note for a long time, then tossed it in the trash. On July 16th, I spent the day at a beach in Monterey, riding a rented bike along the coast, letting the ocean breeze clear my mind. I didn't check my phone until sunset. One missed call. Mom. One text. He kept looking at the door all night, like he was waiting for you. I read it. Didn't reply, not because I wanted to hurt him, but because I was done playing the hero for people who never saved me a seat. August brought a surprise. I ran into Troy's fiancée, now wife, at a bookstore. She looked tired, pale, like someone trying too hard to smile through pain. She saw me, hesitated, then approached. "Didn't expect to see you," she said. "I live here," I replied. She paused. "We moved back in with your parents." Of course they did. "They offered," she added quickly. "Said it's temporary. Troy's job fell through. He's still sorting things out." "Always is." She looked at her hands. "He's struggling. Not my issue." Her eyes, red-rimmed, met mine. "I know, I wish you were his brother." That lingered longer than I expected, not because I felt bad for him, but because, for the first time, someone saw it. I didn't respond, just nodded, walked out with my book. September, my birthday. I wasn't expecting anything, wasn't waiting for it. But around noon, a package arrived. No return address. Inside, a plain wooden box, a folded card. One line, "You were right about everything. I'm sorry." Inside was the bourbon I'd brought for Christmas Eve, unopened. I sat there, staring at the bottle. Then I stepped onto my balcony, opened it, and poured a glass. To no one but myself. By November, I'd sold my apartment and moved out of state. New city. Bigger windows, fresh furniture, no ghosts. The final step, I changed my number, deleted old backups, burned the last bridge. But before I did, I wrote one message. Sent it to Mom, Dad, and Troy. Same text, no room for discussion. "This is the last you'll hear from me. I'm not angry, I'm done. I gave you everything, time, money, love, patience. You took it. Spent it, called it normal. Then you left me standing, literally. I'm not standing anymore. I'm walking away. For good, no hard feelings, just firm boundaries. Goodbye, sent. I let go, peacefully. And here's the thing, I don't miss them. Not the guilt, not the manipulation. Not the tense silences after every no I dared to say. Not the weight of being the family's foundation while they built dreams on my shoulders. I miss the person I was around them, the guy who thought being needed meant being loved. He's gone. Someone stronger took his place. Smarter, freer. Maybe I missed that Christmas dinner. Maybe I stood outside a house I'd helped pay for, holding a gift nobody wanted. But walking away, that was the greatest gift I ever gave myself. And this is the last gift I'll ever give.